Okay, so I do have a little bit of a confession. I've kinda always wanted to be a tech YouTuber. Not really anymore, since I've fallen into this like videography, filmmaking, content creation space. I love it, I wouldn't change anything. But growing up watching YouTube and watching a ton of tech content, I kind of always wanted to do that myself. I love tech reviews. I've always wanted to make one. I don't know if I've ever done a tech review. Today's video I'm especially excited for because we're gonna be talking about how to create a tech video for YouTube. Now, obviously, when it comes to creating a whole video about a tech product, the very first thing and most important step is to get yourself a tech product. So I'd like to thank today's sponsor, LG Display, for providing us with this incredible 65-inch OLED display TV. It's absolutely fantastic. I've been watching a ton of Netflix and playing video games, but also a few other awesome little features we're gonna talk about. But I'm genuinely pumped for this collaboration because this gives me the opportunity to do something kind of different and exciting on this channel that I haven't done before. If you're a person who's aspiring to begin their own tech channel or you're just starting out, I would advise you to begin with some items that are a little bit more affordable and smaller, something you already own or could borrow from a friend, like a phone or tablet, computer, a piece of filmmaking equipment like this little microphone. Either way, all of the tips I'll be giving you in today's tutorial will apply no matter what kind of tech you decide to make your video about. So what you're seeing right now is a behind the scenes look at this talking head setup we've got going for this little tech video that we're making. A talking head shot is essentially a person talking to a camera as if there's an audience on the other side. Now, we can look at tech videos the same way we look at lots of different styles of videos. You have your talking head or your A-roll, and then you have your supplemental footage that sort of gives context to the talking head, and that is our B-roll. I genuinely believe that the talking head shot is a big part of what makes a tech YouTuber memorable to their audience. It gives them an opportunity to showcase items in the background that might be unique to them, or maybe it's a style of filming or a certain focal length they use. I know that many different tech YouTubers take a lot of pride in their desk setup, or maybe it's a color scheme that they have in their talking head shots. Now, what we have here is a fairly basic and minimalistic sort of modern vibe that I was going for in this shot. I do have my wooden dining room table, but because I use that in all of my videos anyway, I figured we'd switch it up and make it look a little more modern by using a white IKEA tabletop. Now, instead of having this dining room table in its usual position in the middle of the room parallel to that wall, I've actually gone ahead and rotated it 45 degrees so that we're shooting towards this corner that you can see behind me. This gives me an opportunity to create more depth in the shot, as well as put some things on this shelf behind me that show off some of the things that I use in my day-to-day life. On the other side, to fill some negative space, we've got a floor lamp. And next to me here, this is a light stand with the Aperture 120D Mark II. If we turn this off, you'll notice that the room gets very dark. We're actually filming this at nighttime, which is what I love about this setup, is that we can kind of fake a daytime look by bouncing this 120D Mark II off of the wall. Over here, my key light, this is the Aperture 300X. It has adjustable temperature. So right now it is set to a fairly warm temperature. It's 3800 Kelvin, matching the white balance of the camera, the Sony a7 III. And that way we can get this nice color contrast where my skin tone looks somewhat natural, but the background is kind of cool and blue. Now, the focal length I'm using for this shot is 35 millimeters, which is actually much tighter than what I would normally use for talking head on this channel. Usually I would go for like a 16 millimeter or 25 millimeter. 35, a little bit tighter, still kind of wide though. I think it just kind of works for this setup. But now that we have our talking head set up and it's all ready to go, we can begin filming our talking head shot. On my computer over here, I have some bullet points and some jot notes that will keep me on track when talking about our product, but we will begin with a quick intro. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Daniel here again, and today we're going to be looking at a TV display that is actually thinner than my smartphone. Notice how I didn't just say, hey guys, Daniel here, today we're gonna be looking at a TV, but I included something about the TV that is interesting and might entice the audience to continue watching the video. But now that we've got our intro done and out of the way, I'm gonna go ahead and finish up this talking head portion, at which point we will film our B-roll. All right, Daniel here from the future. We've just finished wrapping up the talking head portion for this tech review, but it is time to grab some B-roll footage of this beautiful TV. In order to light this scene, we've got the Aperture 300X once again. It's bouncing off the wall, giving the whole room a little bit of light. I have it set to a warm temperature to give it a cozier vibe. We've also got this Falconized flexible LED mat. It's an RGB. Right now it is set to red, and that is also bouncing off of the ceiling. That way it warms up our scene just a bit, but also motivates this little desk lamp we have sitting over here. So this is what our room looks like without the RGB light turned on. These walls are a really bad yellow color. We haven't painted them. We probably should have, but we didn't. And with the warm light bouncing off of it, we kind of get this green cast, which doesn't look great. So once we turn on that RGB light, it adds a little bit of warmth and makes it appear a bit more orange and a little less green. Still not exactly ideal, but definitely better than the alternative. Now for the beginning of our tech review, when I'm introing the product, I figured it would be a good idea to get some handheld shots of the TV just playing one of my videos. So that's what we're gonna do, no set plan, just gonna grab the camera, move around the room, and see what different shots I can get. Okay, so for our first shot, I wanna get a nice wide establishing shot that shows the TV in the dead center of the frame. So what I'm gonna do is get a nice low angle in between these two sofas, just pushing in using my feet to keep it nice and steady and smooth. And we're gonna have the remote in my hand here so that I can play the video from the point where I want it to start playing, so we can time it with our camera movement. This is the Sony A9G Master Series OLED 4K Ultra HD High Dynamic Range Smart TV. Now while this is a Sony television, the OLED display is actually manufactured by LG. Now a couple of things I want to keep in mind as I'm going through these talking points. I want to make sure that I'm focusing on the key feature of the TV. So rather than just reading a spec sheet and going through all the facts about the TV in general, I will be focusing on the OLED display aspect of the product because that is the key thing that separates it from other televisions. Now, because these next few shots are focusing on the image quality of the display, I want to make sure that we can clearly see the screen and we're not catching any reflections, which is why I've turned off the lights and we'll be shooting in the dark. Now for these next few shots, I've got my camera here locked off onto a tripod, and what this is gonna let us do is focus on the actual image quality of the screen because that's what we're referring to in the talking points. We're not gonna get any fancy camera movement or show off the actual body of the television. Rather, we're just going to be illustrating some of the image quality that we're getting out of the display. So we've got my camera on the tripod over here, and the reason I've stopped the video on this specific frame is because we have a lot of different colors, as well as some bright highlights and some dark blacks. A frame like this perfectly illustrates exactly what we're talking about in our talking head portion. And we're also just gonna quickly get another angle from back here. But the thing I want to focus on there is the OLED part. What exactly is OLED? OLED, or OLED, stands for Organic Light Emitting Diode. And these little diodes, they're self-emissive, which means every single pixel on the TV screen matters. So each of these individual little pixels, they turn themselves on and off, which results in incredible color depth and contrast. You have actual deep blacks, super bright whites, and then the colors, the vibrancy, and just the detail is utterly insane. Now our next talking point has to do with viewing angles and being able to see the display clearly no matter where you're sitting in the room. So the idea for this next shot is to have 3 different angles, one in front, one off to this side, and one off to that side. That way we can split screen them all into the same frame, and you can see that the display is clear no matter what the perspective is. All right, next angle. Now normally with most TV displays, if I were to sit here and look at the screen, it would look kind of hazy or foggy, a little bit faded compared to if you were sitting directly in front. But on an OLED display, I could be at the very side of the screen and I can still see everything completely clearly. And it's actually a pretty cool concept. And finally, we will move along to the other side. All right, so now we're getting the smartphone comparison shot. This display is so thin that when we unpacked it out of the box, we were like, how do we even get this out without breaking the thing? But there was like a special way you're supposed to pull it out with the box. It was really interesting. I've never seen that before, but let's hit record and get the shot. Another amazing thing about OLED technology is you can see the screen and the image perfectly from pretty much any angle. And all of this out of a TV screen that is literally thinner than my smartphone. Another thing that I think can make a video like this more interesting or entertaining is to draw personal connections to aspects of my life that are kind of unique to me. So even though a television is a universal product that anybody could use, I'm going to be speaking about it from the perspective of a filmmaker because that is something that is unique to me and brings a unique perspective. But what does OLED technology mean for someone like me, a filmmaker, a person who creates content to be viewed on a screen? Well, first of all, it now means that I can actually see what my camera and lenses are really capable of, because I kind of compare it to a person who has not really had good eyesight for most of their life, and then they finally get glasses and they're like, oh, that's what trees look like. And I'm here like, oh, that's what my pizza B-roll looks like. And it's just amazing to see what this technology can really do when you're playing it back on a display that's actually capable of showing it in full quality. The color accuracy is great. There's actually a lot of professional colorists who do their color grading on OLED displays because the colors are so accurate. Just for fun, I actually hooked up my computer to the TV just to see what it was like to color grade some footage. I might have to start color grading in DaVinci. This is nuts. So now that we've pretty much gone through all of our talking points, we can wrap up the video by giving some of our final thoughts. Now, whether you're someone who likes to watch a lot of shows and movies or you like to edit videos, I highly recommend doing more research on OLED displays. And if you would like more information, you can go to the link down in the description below. But that is it for today's tech review. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, then smash that like button and don't forget to subscribe. And as always, I'm Daniel Schiffer, and I'll tech to you later. Okay, yeah, maybe don't do that, but you get the point. Thank you once again to LG Display for sponsoring today's video. If you would like to learn more about their incredible OLED technology, then go to the link down in the description below. And as always, I will see you guys next time.